The Penn State wrestling team is off to Tulsa for nationals this week, and what better way to preview what's going to be an exciting weekend of wrestling than to be joined by the great play-by-play voice of the Penn State wrestling team, Ironhead Jeff Byers. Ironhead, I know you're looking forward to nationals. Thanks so much for the time.
No, I can hardly wait. Always the best week of the year for me.
What are the big storylines that you're looking forward to seeing unfold out in Tulsa?
Yeah, I think a couple of them. Roman Bravo Young, can he beat Dayton Fix, assuming that they both meet again in the finals? And I am assuming that going in. I just think those are two really elite wrestlers, probably two of the top 5 or 6 pound for pound guys in the country. And I think that'll be fun if, in fact, we get to see that again. Seeing where Levi Haynes actually finishes up here, whether he can win a national title as a true freshman and a young freshman at that. He's only 18 years old, and I think that's going to be a fascinating storyline. And then from Penn State's perspective and a national perspective, I think just how everything settles out at 197 is going to be really interesting, because I think that is the most wide open weight class going into the tournament.
Yeah, let's start right there. Max Dean received the 9 seed. What do you think about his seeding and his bracket as you get your first look at that?
I thought it was a little lower than I was expecting. I knew he was going to be dinged for the loss to Silas Allred, and it was a tough situation because you couldn't really justify putting Allred higher than they did at 8. And because of Dean's loss to Allred, it was hard, I think, for the committee to justify then putting Dean ahead of Allred. So, it is a tough seed, no question, for Max Dean. And I don't know that it really reflects his resume, but it does reflect kind of what happened at the Big Ten tournament. Regardless, as the coaches will tell you, you've got to beat all of the top guys to get there anyway. And he does have a tough path, obviously, to get back to the finals. Really a tough path just to get back on the podium this year. But I think, if he's able to just kind of put what happened at the Big Ten's behind him, he's certainly a guy that's capable of going out and winning it all again.
Yeah, no doubt about that. He's equipped. He has the experience of doing it. And as you said, that's kind of a wide open weight class right there. 157, you talked about Levi Haynes, and he's in the same bracket as Peyton Robb, who he just defeated for the Big Ten championship against Nebraska there. And Penn State coming off its first Big Ten championship since 2019. How do they use that momentum? What did you like about their performance in Ann Arbor leading into nationals?
Yeah, I thought for the most part, everybody wrestled really hard and for the most part looked sharp. A couple of little things here and there from a few of the kids. But I think it was a good tournament and a good springboard heading into the nationals. And for Levi, I just think, what he did in that overtime against Peyton Robb is one of the more remarkable things we've seen this year in college wrestling. And, he's got a tough path to get to the finals, because he would have to beat Robb again in the semis. And he's got to get by Bryce Handonian of Virginia Tech, who's really, really good and an exciting wrestler in the quarterfinals. But Levi is obviously a very special kid, and I think he'll be right there in the mix, and certainly has a shot here at winning a national championship as a true freshman.
As you go into this, do you even have expectations anymore? Because Penn State's done so much to really rewrite what is the norm with their accomplishments, 5 for 5 last year in the finals, and obviously winning 9 of the last 11 championships.
Yeah, I really try to temper the individual expectations, only because it is unfair. It's not, and I'm afraid that some of the fans are starting to think that, they just get to nationals and they win national titles. That's what they do, as Bo Nickel would tell you. But, one of these tournaments, they are bound to have a couple of guys lose to other elite wrestlers in the finals. But listen, this team is really probably the deepest top to bottom that Cale has had here, which is saying something. And there's still that top end talent. I mean, there's still 6 guys, maybe even 7, that I think are legitimate contenders for a national title this year.
What makes them so good this time of year?
I think it's a couple of things. I think it is the steady progress they make from the first day. I mean, starting the day after the tournament, they'll come back and they'll start regrouping and working on specific things. And I think it's just that attitude of, hey, let's get a little bit better every day in the room, have some fun, and see where we can grow. But the other thing is, I do think this coaching staff does an exceptional job of being able to break down what is working for these kids and how to best if not eliminate the weaknesses, at least make them difficult for opponents to exploit. And I think, Casey Cunningham and Cody Sanderson are probably about as good as it gets in terms of individual scouting for a particular opponent. And, we've seen time and again, Penn State has reversed losses from the regular season or even the Big Ten tournament in the NCAA championships. And I think, it's a credit to the kids for sure, but I really think that comes back to the outstanding job that this coaching staff does.
And we've made it this far through and haven't talked about Carter Starace, Aaron Brooks, or Greg Kirkfleet yet. What makes, a real quick thumbnail on each of them makes them really national title threats? Once again, obviously a couple guys that are going to repeat.
Yeah, I think Carter is just an exceptional competitor. He's obviously got all of the skills as well and is really well versed in the sport. But he just has a different competitive edge to him, and he gets cranked up at this time of the year. Aaron Brooks, I know there's some people worked up about him being a 3 seed. It doesn't matter if you put him as a 33 seed. I think the Big Ten tournament was Aaron Brooks wrestling the best that he has so far in his career. And yes, I understand that that is saying something, but I just think if he wrestles like that, it doesn't matter where you see him or who you put in front of him. He is just such a special wrestler. He's going to be able to be up to the challenge. And Greg Kirkfleet, I think, is in a good position as the 3 seed. I think he should have been the 2 seed, but at the end of the day, I don't know that much matters. Yep. Between he and Wyatt Hendrickson of Air Force. And I like Greg's matchup there. And then it's going to come down to, can he figure out and solve Mason Paris this season in the finals? I think that is going to be one of the really fun bouts to watch in this year's tournament.
Yeah, stick around to the very end. 3-3 all time between the two. This would be the 7th meeting if they both get there. But we know crazy things can happen at nationals before you even get near that podium or into the finals.
No doubt about that. Again, you're kind of relying on the track record here, which is very good for Penn State. And I do think this team's in a really good frame of mind. And, the truth is they can afford a couple of slip-ups at a couple of spots and still be pretty comfortable in the team race going in.
How many hours will you be on the air, and what's your prep look like going into it real quick?
It'll end up, we should end up right around 18 hours, give or take a bit in terms of total coverage over the 3 days. And I just think this is such an exciting tournament. It is wonderful having all of the access that you do now with the internet. And I spend probably way too much time looking at some of the different matches that I didn't get to see during the season involving non-Penn Staters. And then I'll read kind of everything I can on just the previews and the breakdowns and the numbers. And I love eating that stuff up.
Well, we love listening. You do a great job, Ironhead. Appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.